So today here, and I want to start, with some questions with Manish first. And Manish, I know you have too many things for students to tell them, but I want I want to learn what they should do to be successful, what skills they should learn to be successful for their future.
Important today, and I would say when you think about coming out of school, when we were in college, at that time, combined, we have 55 years of experience, even though Suchit doesn't want to admit that. And 55 plus. But when we were in college, back then, I would tell you that internet was just coming up. Information used to be books, primarily, that you couldn't buy, at least I couldn't afford. So we used to depend a lot on library. So the kind of things that we could have learned was limited to what was being taught to us by our professors, by our teachers. That is no longer true. The information today is infinite. It is available at your fingertips. You have the capability to learn the capability to acquire the skills and techniques from a diversified field that was not available to us. So in our era, just doing mechanical engineering was good enough. I don't think that is true anymore. Because in this world, anything that you see, there is a multidisciplinary aspect associated with it. Whether it is mechanical combined with electronics, whether it is mechanical combined with robotics. For robotics, you need to learn some certain level of software engineering. You need to learn certain level of AI, I would say. So engineering is more diverse, and skill set needs to evolve with that, because if you're not keeping yourself up to date with all the latest happening in the field of technology, you will start to fall behind. Now, I was looking around, and there are certain universities which have taken this approach, where they have taken approach of trying to train engineers to have multidisciplinary skill sets, but not everyone is on that bandwagon yet. I would suggest that for our student community, one of the biggest things that they should be looking at is that how can I try to improve my skills in order to learn much more than what I'm learning at school. And this is where I would say, don't just focus exclusively on the major or on the field that you are in. Try to see what more can you learn.
So you are saying you were able to do that even the internet were not there, and you were working very hard, but now students have many things in front of them, so they can do more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because the skill, I would say the resources that we had back then, it is nothing compared to the resources that we have today. So today, even I would give you an example that today, I am SolidWorks CEO, but we are part of a much bigger portfolio called 3D Experience Works. So even our students, should you just learn SolidWorks, which is essentially mechanical engineering tool, or should you try to expand yourself into electrical, into system engineering, into doing simulation any kind of simulation for that matter, structural simulation, fluid simulation, whether you should be able to learn the EMAG simulation. So the fields are amazing, and they are extremely vast. And even if you look at the best part is that being part of the 3D Experience Works portfolio, what we have done is that we have provided the same infrastructure, the same platform, the same tool set available to our industry, meaning the Boeing and Airbus of the world. What they are doing today, our students can learn the same exact thing, because we have provided the entire feature set, entire library, entire portfolio to our students, unlike other companies.
Yeah, so I wonder, so let me ask also Suchit, since he's working for students for years, even he doesn't want to talk about years, we can say few years, Suchit. So how does SolidWorks help students stay updated and with the latest trends in engineering and the design?
Yeah, I think as Manish said, the information age which we are in today, there's so much information out there. I mean, before I get into the details of it, one thing, it is very important for us to realize that, sometimes when information is easy to get, that necessarily doesn't mean it's correct. So we have to be very conscious. We all have to be, you and us, of the fake news out there. Just because it's on Google, that does not mean it's right. So that's an important aspect of it. So now with that said, trying to understand SolidWorks and engineering and design in general, I mean, there is enormous amount of information and good information. So I think it's it's a job of the education system. It's our job to make sure that our students are understanding where the information is correct, right? So there's a lot of information. I mean, I can learn about anything about engineering and design. In fact, I met a very interesting person in India I was visiting last week, Sabine Matthews, who produces a lot of educational videos using SolidWorks and a bunch of other tools to illustrate engineering principles. And it is amazing. And there are so many people like Sabine who are producing very good content. So you can learn, of course, you're going to learn in your classroom through your teachers and so on. If you're in universities, they will teach. And that's a set curricula. And of course, that's the fundamental news. But then you can also follow certain of these videos and YouTubes. And what we do on our end is to make sure that we highlight those guys. So we have a whole influencer program, as we call it, where we seek out these people who are spreading news. So please follow the SolidWorks YouTube channels because that is, we're going to do the editing. We're going to figure out what the right people are and put it in front of you for learning things which are more related to design and engineering.
So Suchit, you say, yes, it's important to follow up new trends, but be careful because you need to also be sure they are true. So we have too many sources around us. So please, students, double check with everything you learn. Thank you, Suchit. Thank you. And then Manish, your second question is coming. I wonder what diverse career opportunities are available for students if they know SolidWorks.
This is the beauty that if you know SolidWorks, if you just go on any job website and try to search SolidWorks and the job opportunities, you will be amazed. We are, as Dassault Systems, we are in 12 different industries. And every single industry has the job opportunities for SolidWorks, whether it is, I would even claim that right from aerospace and defense to medical device industry to industrial equipment industry to you keep on going, home and lifestyle. Every single industry has SolidWorks customer base out there, which means the opportunities for you are endless. Anything that interests you, you will be able to find some place for yourself in that industry. So it's entirely up to you that what interests you. You come with your own interest and you'll be able to find.
So if you're interested in robotics, you can find robot companies who make robots. If you're interested in, let's say, freezer company, and then you can work for them because
Exactly.
you know the program, the software, which everyone almost uses, correct?
If you are a thermal engineer, you might want to go and work for some freezer company, the way you said. If you are,
I just bought a freezer, so that's why.
if you are more design oriented, where you want to design certain really nice stuff for your house, for others' houses, and so on, you can go into home and lifestyle. If you are interested in aerospace, there are a bunch of aerospace companies which use SolidWorks because almost you'll find SolidWorks everywhere. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, I think just to add in there.
Yeah, also
Sorry.
I have a question related to you, Suchit. I know you have so many students because you also work with the startups. So I wonder if you can share a student's success story with us right now for a couple of them. They started to learn SolidWorks and they built their own company. So can you give some examples to influence?
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, just on the career and the diversity of the career, of course, when we talk about SolidWorks and 3D Experience Works, we do tend to focus on engineering and industrial design, architecture, those kinds of industries. But we've also seen that people who have knowledge of design software like SolidWorks and engineering software, when it comes to forming a company. So whether you're doing a fridge, as Simge just bought, or Manish, you were talking about robotics, space, whatever. I mean, any company is not just the engineering, right? I mean, for a company to be successful, you need business and finance. And what we have seen is people who are even going into business careers, having understanding of SolidWorks and design, have helped them succeed, whether they're the CEO of the company and maybe it's engineering-led company, then of course they tend to know SolidWorks. But even if they are not an engineering-led company, more and more we are seeing people are making themselves familiar because it helps them run things. And this, I'm talking about companies which are making products, physical products, like the fridge, or like the EVs, like the scooters, like the space vehicles, whatever. And we've seen. Now, to addressing your question on a couple of stories of students who have seen, I mean, of course, I was in India last week, so I visited several of those students and who are doing startups. And in fact, one particular one, just because he just sent me a LinkedIn this morning. So his name is Prateek, who's, I think I'm saying it right. But this guy was in Pune and is into developing some sort of a humanoid robot. And he started from school.
Oh my God,
very
future is getting scary now.
Yeah, very passionate. And we had some interesting conversation between us. By the way, Kishore was also with us, which is in our team. We had very interesting conversation, which is what we do all the time about morality and AI and robotics and humans and all. But to tell you frankly, look, this guy has a startup. I wish him all the best. He's probably going to succeed. Maybe he'll pivot from where he is into something. So that's one just recent example of somebody who's kind of going through that process. But on the other hand, we have very successful companies, even to the amount of a company called Boom, which is doing this supersonic flight. And they started back in school days. In fact, I would, from my experience, I would say 80 to 90% of every company I meet, so I'm not just talking about startups, now I'm talking about every company I meet, you find a connection of those people that learned SolidWorks back in their school days, right? So I'm saying 80 to 90% of every company somehow starts from there. So it's a very, very important virtuous circle, and it builds, you can build your career around it.
Actually,
before moving ahead, I would say Boom is a very nice example because Boom, as Suchit mentioned, it was formed with the Boom using SolidWorks as a way in order to build their plane. Now, you have to keep in mind that if you're trying to, I would say the aerospace industry is an industry which is caught in a kind of plateau right now, because 30 years back, the speed that a normal commercial aircraft used to have is the same as what we have today. So the time it took to cross the Atlantic is the same that the time it takes to cross the Atlantic today. So things are kind of stuck in a limbo in a way. What Boom is trying to do is that they are trying to think of crossing that or breaking that kind of stability, where they are trying to think of supersonic flights. Now, you know that there were supersonic flights. There was Concorde. Air France as well as British Airways used to have them, and they used to fly it across Atlantic. But because of one accident in, I think it was the 90s or 80s, after that accident, it was scratched. That program was scratched. In fact, if you go to Paris, you will see one of those planes at the Charles de Gaulle Airport, which is really nice. It's for historians, it's a nice thing to look at. But what Boom is trying to do is that they are trying to break that limbo. They are trying to put supersonic flights back into business. To do that, they started with SolidWorks. They started to design things with SolidWorks. But at some point, they realized that they need much more than SolidWorks, and they were able to seamlessly scale between SolidWorks and CATIA, which is essentially Dassault Systems products. And they were able to use both in order to achieve things that they wanted to achieve. So in a way, what any startup has to think about is also not just that what you want to do today, what you want to do tomorrow. And for that, do you have the scalability? And this is the other beauty, that with starting with SolidWorks, you're never going to get caught with some level of stagnation.
But by the way, I have one person, which you know very well, my personal
It's
example.
never easy to ask this question
Yeah.
to these guys.
Yeah,
So it's not my fault.
but my personal experience has been, and Manish, you know this too, because I know your daughter is studying engineering as well, but my son, I have twin boys, and these guys know them well, and they're gonna be graduating in May. And I have a daughter as well who's doing marketing and working for a startup. But my sons, the career path, because they know SolidWorks very well, we made sure.
They have a picture, by the way, they are twins. They have a picture when they are 2 years old with SolidWorks
Yeah,
towers.
exactly.
So,
And SolidWorks is a big family. All of us kind of know each other's family. We now know our customers' family. But the story with my son basically is because of his SolidWorks, I believe. He's at Virginia Tech. Boeing comes and interviews a bunch of students, a huge line. And guess what? He got an offer, and I think he's going to be starting at Boeing in Seattle in June.
beautiful.
But I think it's partly because of SolidWorks.
I want you, students, I want you all to work for the companies like Boeing, like Dassault System, like really you can show your engineering skills. So that's why I organized this webinar, just to show you how SolidWorks can really help you for your future. So with said that, it's very important question. We are always talking about you. So what about your teams? What about collaboration? And I want to ask Manish in this point. Manish, how students can collaborate with their team with SolidWorks?
And this is a very important question. Collaboration has become a buzzword. I think it has become a buzzword where everyone says that we do collaboration. So what exactly is collaboration? What we are doing right now, is it not collaboration? Where we are talking.
100% collaboration.
It's a live collaboration, right?
Best collaboration ever. Yes.
Now, if you think of collaboration has different meaning when you are trying to develop a product in different phases. Any product development, at the very initial phase, collaboration means I should be able to talk to anyone in a very open fashion, in a very free fashion, where I should be able to collect all the ideas in one single place, keep some, throw the others away, or maybe preserve them for future purposes, whatever. But during that phase, it's a very unstructured collaboration. You don't really want to capture all possible junk. You want to have a bucket of things, then you keep certain things, you throw others away. You want to capture them in a place where they become part of your history. You want infinite virtual idea boards. You want to capture things in a way where you should be able to say that this idea was good, this idea was bad. You want to do that. Then once you go from idea phase into, let's say, prototype phase, in prototype phase, collaboration has a different meaning, where you want to create things in virtual world, where you want to do simulation, whether you want to do manufacturing simulation in order to make sure that things break or not. But even there, things are moving between different people. You might be modeling expert, someone else might be the design or styling expert, someone else might be the manufacturing expert. So these things have to flow between different people in a certain way so that everyone is working on the same exact data. Even that is a collaboration. Then when you go into the manufacturing world, in the sense, once, let's say, let me go all the way to the right end, where assume that you have already released a product. Once you have released the product, and then someone tells you that, there was a problem and you need to fix the problem, you cannot just go ahead and change the product. You have to go through a change management process in the real world. Mm-hmm. Change management process is where I did something. Now that something needs to be changed. So someone has to request the change. Then it has to go through a formal process.
It's supposed to be all systematic.
Well,
exactly.
Sorry, go ahead.
So the point I'm trying to make is that collaboration is not one single word.
Yeah, please go ahead. I just need a charger for my phone.
Rather, collaboration, it's a series of things. And in any professional company creating professional products or creating products ultimately for their consumers, you have to make sure that your collaboration covers all these different phases of a product development cycle. And this is something what we do. We are not saying that just collaboration means I I give you my design, you work on my design, and you give your design back to me. I'm sorry, but this is not just the end of collaboration. Collaboration is way bigger problem than the way it is projected by a lot of other folks.
This is great. You know the problem and we have the solution for it.
And we have tried to solve it in a comprehensive way. We have not tried to give point solutions. End of the day, the collaboration, the whole collaboration spectrum, the way we have exposed it is the way you will use it in industry.
Yes.
This is in industry, in fact, I don't know any single company where I can, just by sharing a link to someone else, I should be able to share my product. Because if I do that, tomorrow I might get fired because I may have exposed my IP to some external folks. So there is a strict protocols that even internally right now in Dassault systems, we create a lot of documents. Imagine that if all the 22,000 employees of Dassault systems have this capability that, you know what, I should be able to share this link to someone else without any supervision whatsoever. Is it really the right thing to do? I don't know. Maybe for a startup, it might be a right thing to do. For an established company, it's not the right thing to do, because in the end, for a design company, what is it that you created? End of the day, what you create, it is intellectual property. And you should do everything in your powers in order to preserve your intellectual property. Because if your intellectual property goes out, anyone will be able to manufacture it. Because what we are doing, what you are doing is essentially you are capturing things in virtual world. That virtual world, if it gets exposed to the outside world, anyone will be able to replicate your idea. So this, we take it very seriously. We take it extremely seriously that this is the IP, this is your IP. We want to make sure that it's preserved in a way that it's entirely under your control, still giving you the full series of spectrum of collaboration that you need in order to be successful.
I mean, maybe just, bringing it back a little bit, what Manish explained is, whether you're a student or a startup, at the end of the day, we are all moving towards the goal of working somewhere, whether you start your own company or you're going to work for somebody. This idea of collaboration, IP, storage, security, all of that, which Manish described, is paramount. And more companies are paying attention to it. So whether you go as a student in an interview, I think what Manish just described, along with your design knowledge, if you have the knowledge of this level of IP protection, collaboration, this will be a plus for you, right? As a student over somebody else who just knows design, right? So the idea that you have the know-how of what is interest for businesses is a good and very important part of it. So when it comes to SolidWorks and 3D Experience Works, we have a platform which allows you to learn those things early in advance. Now, that's to make a differentiation between you and that other guy who's probably either applying to the same university if you're in high school, or applying for a job or starting your company. You have an edge because if you know this collaborative aspect of it. Also, right now, how you can learn all of that? Well, if you're a FIRST Robotics team, you are collaborating among your students. You may be using Google Drives of the world and so on. What we are trying to do is to provide you the same things, the ability to share and all of that, but in a more secured environment, which as a team, you're going to learn. Because, as Dean Kamen would say, it's not just about the robots, right? It's about about learning it together. It's about learning the processes and so on in there. Now, if you are not a student or you're an aspiring startup, guess what? This collaborative aspect becomes paramount because you have a single version of truth of your ideas when you're presenting to VCs or when you're talking with anybody. Something like a 3D Experience platform allows you to do that in a very systematic way. So I think that the point here is not just about, as Manish was describing, it's the things we are building are useful for you now and today and helps you create an edge over the other guy.
So let me explain something. So sometimes in our company, we are acting like everyone knows as we do. For example, when we are talking about platform, I assume you guys all know SolidWorks because, it's a very, very famous and old software. But in Dassault system actually created the platform, 3D Experience platform years ago. And now it's just in the perfect perfect shape for you to go and discover. So when Suchit and Manish talking about collaboration, they suggest you to go and discover 3D experience platform, which is very easy. Because I'm telling you, because I'm not an engineer, but even I am an expert on it. So I'm sure you can guys can go and share with your teams and start your collaboration to be more proactive. So I just want to add this quick note.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, look, the point, the question we are trying to answer is not necessarily just that it's 3D experience platform and collaboration. We are telling you collaboration, what it means from an engineering design company perspective. Collaboration is ability to exchange ideas in a secured environment and having single version of truth. Because as you guys will mature in your careers, you would learn that not having single version of truth in a company can actually cause a lot of wastage of time and effort and all of that. That's the point we are making. So collaboration is not just making a comment on Facebook or Instagram, which is of course relevant and important, but when it comes to engineering and design and producing products in a secured environment, that also is important. And that's the part of collaboration we like you to learn and get an edge over the next guy, because if you do that, it'll help in your careers. That's the point we want to get across.
It's great. By the way, I started to receive some questions for from the students. Actually, I like you are all guys saying SolidWorks is excellent, everything's perfect. So I'm very happy. So please continue, write your questions, then we will answer end of the webinar. I have one question also. It's very important because we just talk about how they can work with their teammates, with the collaboration. But I wonder if students learn SolidWorks, how they can connect with professionals, how they can connect to companies. So how SolidWorks help them to reach these companies like Boeing, like Dassault System, the big companies.
You want me to address it?
You go ahead and
Okay.
Suchit, I'm sure he has some.
So if you look at any community, whether it is LinkedIn or our, maybe not everyone is aware of it, but as part of 3D Experience platform, we have a thing called 3D Swim, which is swim is see what you mean is the full name of swim. But swim is a place, if you go on, if you just go swim and hit enter on Google, you will most likely end up in that community. That is a community where a lot of professionals, they come together and they discuss about anything right from issues related to SolidWorks to news, tips and tricks to posting their 3D models and so on. So there are a lot of things happening there. If you go on LinkedIn, you also see those kind of things where a lot of students, a lot of professionals, they go and try to post what they have done. The way you should try to connect it is that in today's world, how do you build your profile? You build your profile by sharing things back in a given community or in a lot of different communities. Where you try to create things, you highlight yourself as the knowledgeable person who is able to solve a lot of different problems, I would say. One easy way is if you go on Swim, there is a profile. Each person gets a profile. And when you do certain things, it gets added to your profile. So by building that profile, you are trying to essentially highlight yourself as someone who is knowledgeable, someone who is able to do things, someone who is able to create a lot of value, and it in turn will give you value in future. Because in the sense, this is more or less it's karma, right? If you do good, good comes back to you. So you have to somehow give to the community first before it starts to give back to you. Now, there are multiple ways. Swim is not the only way. You can go on LinkedIn and you can build your profile because tomorrow when if you try to post your resume to a given company and someone else has posted their resume or post their resume for the same job, ultimately, the recruitment manager will look at your profile and the other person's profile, and something needs to stand out. If you have done something which is so interesting that it will stand out, you know what? You have created a unique persona for yourself. So that's one way.
Well, okay. So one thing, you can go back home today, or actually even while you are right now on this, something which will immediately help you connect. And what SolidWorks does which will help is our what we call as SWAGIN or SolidWorks User Network Group. Now, these are meetings. They are happening in every local place. And the purpose of these meetings is for our users to come together and share knowledge. As Manish said, do the right karma. So they share knowledge over a pizza or something, after hours. We have hundreds of these meetings going on in every part of the world. And it's a virtuous cycle. The more you are participating, the more meetings are happening. But for students is enormous because now you are meeting with commercial people. They're sharing your knowledge. You can, create network right then and there. So if you haven't done it, go back and sign up for the next user group meeting happening in your area and benefit from it, because that's a direct way of connecting with people right then and there.
Thank you very much. So if I were your daughter and if I was, I'm a student, what would be your advice? So do it to our students now, like you are advising to your own kid.
The funny thing is that, as Suchit mentioned, even my daughter, she is doing mechanical engineering. In fact, she started this year.
Okay, perfect. So you already know the advice then.
So I believe in the field we are in. So that's first thing I would say. And I believe that the future is gigantic in the sense we have only started in trying to solve the problems of the future. We know it for the fact, and that's why I try to I should say, suggest her to go to mechanical engineering. Now, one thing I tell her is that what colleges teach you is how to solve problems. What you need to learn all by yourself is that how to create networks which will come back and help you in future. In the sense, how do you communicate with each other? How do you collaborate with each other? How do you build your own network of friends, network of peers, network of seniors for that matter, or network of companies out there where you will be able to know people and they will be able to know you? How do you do that? Again, I would say that growing up, the opportunities that we used to have were limited. We grew up in non-internet era. Mm-hmm. You are now in internet era. So the way you can build up your network is way different than way we had to build up our own networks. So start to build up your network, because end of the day, that network is going to help you propel your career into future. And this is not something which is going to be, I would say, it's not a course that will teach you that this is how you build your network. This is something which you have to somehow define yourself, that what network do I want to be part of? How do I want to grow it? How do I want to know a lot of people? How do I want to interact with them?
So as a networking example, do you think they should, join their school groups or maybe some universities, I don't know, organizations, events, or go to open houses organized by companies? So how they can find these networks to join?
Yeah, I would say all of them.
Yeah.
All of them, because end of the day, the more networking you do, better it is for you. Because who knows, there might be someone who is interested in your idea, who is willing to work with you on your idea in order to make it a success. Who knows, there might be someone in a networking community who might be willing to give you money for your idea.
Yeah.
You never know. So build your network. The stronger the network you build, the stronger you are going to be in your field.
Thank you very much, Manish, for your time as well. So we will continue with Suchit.
Thank you, Suchit.
Thank you, Manish.
We'll see you again, Manish.
Thank you, everyone.
And by the way, for record, I'm wearing red. Manish is black. I don't know why,
But it's SolidWorks. I'm SolidWorks X Design.
He just wants to get all compliments with the red SolidWorks.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the reason why camera kept on coming back. Red works.
Now it'll be entirely on you.
Thank you, Manish. See you later. Bye-bye. So, Suchit, what would be your advice to your kids? Because as he just mentioned, he has three kids, and one of them is marketing, and then two of them are engineering. So what would be your advice?
Well, first of all, as parents, and I'm sure your parents are or whatever, it makes me sound old, but you're asking the question. As parents, I think we want our kids to be happy and to be successful, and therefore no matter what they do, whatever their desire is, we are there to support. But I always say, as a parent, our job is to expose them and show them what is possible, and then they will do the right thing. I always have this saying that if you jump in the right river, you'll end up in the right place. So keep the right company, and our job as parents is to show where to jump, right? So with my kids, I mean, it was the same thing, right? With my daughter and my kids, what I knew, what is successful, I know engineering is great, all of those. So I exposed my kids to that, and my daughter ended up doing. She went to school at BU and working for a marketing design firm. But I can tell you that her exposure to design, like SolidWorks, because she could do SolidWorks as well, is helping her even in her current job.
Yeah.
Right. So that's important. And in my view, you cannot be a specialist anymore. You have to be in some ways a little bit knowing a little bit of everything. And then, of course, you have a focus. So I tell my kids to know more than what they're just focusing in. So my engineering kids, the two boys, the twins we talked about, I always tell them that if you want to, just knowing SolidWorks sometimes is not enough for them. And they have to think, if, of course, it depends on your aspirations, but if you want to do your own startup or you want to go higher up in a company, you need to know how a company runs.
Of course.
And therefore, the discussion we had earlier about collaboration and the needs of a company is so much more relevant. And therefore, in some ways, putting a little bit of a plug back to the 3D Experience platform, sometimes we even say that, engineering and design and creation goes beyond just SolidWorks. And therefore, the 3D Experience Works comes into play as well. So my advice to the kids and for you guys is, just go beyond your field, try to learn as much. But at the end, if you're not happy doing what you're doing, then don't do it.
Yeah. So I have another question, about, students do too many things, and then they organize some design contest internally in their school, and they create beautiful design altogether. So let's say they did everything in the school, but how they can carry these designs to the real world? How they should present what they have done during the school to the real world? What would be your suggestion for them?
Well, I mean, I think these days it's very, very hard, I would say, to keep things just back in what you did in your school, because there are a lot of design competitions happening. You need to be aware of those surroundings where some of the work you are doing can be shared in there. I mean, at SolidWorks, we of course have 3D Experience World. And by the way, a plug for 3D Experience World. The students who can be in the Dallas area around February 12th, 13th, we have a whole student sessions, panels. We showcase their projects, so it's an opportunity. So that, for example, is an opportunity. But of course, 3D Experience Works is Dallas, a physical event. But then, as I was saying, we have, every country has it, every local geography has it. Beyond the school, our design competition. I was there in India for the Akruti design competition, and there are 9,000 students in India who took advantage, showcased their projects, and some of them are getting jobs because of that and all of that.
So you say you should go to the competitions and they should go to the events to showcase what they have done?
Some events, go to events like physical events, but there are a lot of design competitions happening in your local company, sponsored by companies like ours, or maybe they are industry, by government, by all of that. So it's not just limited to schools. I'm saying that they should be aware of these competitions they're having everywhere. And
start Googling kids.
Well, I think in some ways, Simge, the students who are listening, and some of them are not necessarily, I'm sorry if we are using the word kids too much.
Because I'm old, this is the reason.
Yeah, but they are very much aware. I think what I've found is a lot of our students are very much aware of these opportunities. The key is I would encourage you to participate in those things, because nothing is going to happen if you don't take an action. So the goal is for you to take an action and do, and no matter which part of the world you are in, there are a lot of these things. Keep eye on SolidWorks news, whichever way you get it, because we are also participating in a lot of design competition. We are always, as a company, on lookout for students who are
Correct,
making
yeah.
a difference.
Yes.
So we will be happy to showcase. And if you have a project which you believe in and are proud of, then make me aware, make me aware. I mean, you guys have all the contacts
Yes,
to go
very
and do
true.
that.
So thank you, Suchit. So let me do an announcement now for everyone who attended an hour ago to our webinar. Because of the time setup problem, so we started at 10 a.m. By EST time, but we will continue 10 minutes later. But for the one who joined an hour ago, you guys, it can be some repeat information for you, because I'll ask the questions to Suchit again, which I was asking to Manish and Suchit. But we will definitely continue another half an hour with the questions, because I know many
And
students
they
will
can
join.
stick around if they want to.
Exactly, yeah.
And we'll keep
please.
an eye, because I think that there was a slight confusion because of the central time versus the Eastern time.
Yes.
But that's okay. We'll continue a little bit more for people if they are sticking around. I don't know.
Exactly, but I have questions here, so let me ask those questions while we have Suchit here, then we can start a new session. So
Well, I mean,
Suchit,
do we have to, or we just continue?
we have 10 minutes to 11, because many students are joining. So I want to answer this question first, because they might want to leave. So if one of the question, if you were to return as a student, what activities or pursuits would you like to engage in?
If I were to, well, first of all, I'm always a student, so I'm learning, and I'm learning by myself a lot of times, whether it's Udemy for different things. I'm into learning about AI or blockchain and things like that. So I do that. So first of all, I'm always a student from that perspective, learning something new. But if you're asking going back to school and what would I want to learn, I mean, to tell you frankly, in my days when I was there, as Manish was talking earlier, a lot of the things which are available to you via internet, like some of the things I mentioned, Udemy, YouTube, all of that were not available. So I'm glad that they are available now. So I would have loved to have them. So you have them. The other one is, I wish, okay, I mean, in reality, if I remember back my college, I do think that some of the the projects you guys do, final year projects I think you guys do a much better job. I wish I could do that with the tools we had, something more practical to do and not just as much theoretical, because engineering is all about application as well, learning the principles. So I wish I could do more of hands-on things, so not just theoretical. And what I mean by that is you can learn, for example, physics and math and science. What I say, by the way, there's another quote which I'm in love with, which is about that the scientists create or dream the world, engineers create it. So I wish more of the creation part of it, hands-on stuff, making, implementing, solving real problems, I wish we would do more of.
So it's a good advice though, guys. You do more, and then if you find dreams and then make it happen with SolidWorks. Other question is about what would you recommend to students to sharpen their craft that are just entering the CAD field? Use SolidWorks.
Yeah, of course, use SolidWorks. Entering the CAD. I mean, CAD is a tool, right? And engineering and problems to solve are too many out there in the world. So you have a fantastic opportunity. So I think we already talked about it. Learning CAD is no longer just enough. So learning just SolidWorks, as in the CAD part of the SolidWorks, is not just enough. You need to, I think, learn how those things help solve a problem, but also how that can help you, how companies work or how companies are established. And then you will understand the right use of the tool as well. And as I said earlier, if you do that, it will differentiate in your resume, that experience, the way you will talk with somebody else who's maybe interviewing you for a job. You will have that clear outlook in your mind frame of how a company is working. So I guarantee you will give such better answers. So go beyond just CAD. Of course, I'm assuming you're going to learn CAD. Make sure you get your SolidWorks certification because that shows your professionalism.
I need to add something here. You guys, if you join this webinar, you will have some selected certification, including CSWA and some 3D experience platform. After this webinar, we will send you an email, not today, but next week. So you will find the way how you can get these certifications.
So yeah, definitely have the certification of SolidWorks, and we have different levels of certifications in different fields. So I definitely ask you to do that. And then also go beyond CAD and SolidWorks and 3D Experience platform. 3D Experience Works portfolio helps you go do that. And then also look beyond that as well into learning how a company works. And we do a lot of seminars, go to user group meetings, etc. And that sort of makes you a complete engineer, or more than an engineer. I'd say it's somebody who can actually not just dream about things, but actually help create them, right? Because it understand the economics as well, because that also drives.
So we have so many beautiful questions. One of them, I really like it because I'm sure many students might be in the same position. It is start with very informative webinar. Is there any advice to get for landing a job using SolidWorks without the connections you mentioned? Because in college, I just keep myself busy on studying and found myself without connections after graduation. So what this student should do?
Yeah, it's a good question. When you're, and by the way, there's nothing wrong in busy studying and all of that, because it's always a balance. You have to clear your courses and everything else. And if you are good in SolidWorks, I'd say one of your best ways is to get certified in SolidWorks. And once you do that, you will start to get noticed through, you'll get into your LinkedIn, your resume, or companies you are applying for. So I think you've done all the hard work in terms of learning CAD and SolidWorks. I talked about going beyond, but even you can now, maybe you can network. Make sure it's in your resume. Make sure you now start going to some of these SolidWorks user group meeting. I mean, I don't know this question where the person is, but if you are in US, then of course we have a lot of SolidWorks user group meetings. If it's not in US and in other parts, we invite you to maybe start your user group. As a student, you can start a user group meeting. It all depends on how much you are willing to do.
Yes. We have also too many questions about the AI and engineering. And I know Suchit is always talking about it because as he mentioned that he is really into the new things. So I think it's also another great point to ask him. So Suchit, how do you see the future for engineering and AI?
Yeah, I think, I'm not going to necessarily add. I'm sure if you follow any of the discussion in AI, it usually follows along three directions, right? One is, AI helps you with productivity, like is assistive. It enhances what you do. The other one is a word around generative AI, which is about creative, like creating new things, not just taking existing stuff and making it more productive, more better. Then can AI start to be the creative? And then the third question comes around, will AI replace humans, right? Everybody talks about it. So we can have, and one of the things people talked about before generative AI, like ChatGPT, or if you're into photo stuff, Midjourney or DALL-E, all of these things were just, by the way, was just last year, November timeframe when it came about. So within 1 year, there's so much ahead. But before that, everybody said AI will be more focused around making you more productive, right? With all the different technologies that you will do your job much more faster. And for mundane stuff, humans will not be needed, and they will more focus, those jobs will get shifted to more creative. But then, with the generative AI, we have started to see the creative aspect of AI where it can truly be generated, creating something new. And then the third part of it, my personal view is, as humans, we should never be worried about AI taking over, because no matter, yes, we have to have some guardrails in the fake news and all of that, but in the end, we have control because AI can never become the human part of it because humans have imagination and humans have the sentience.
So maybe we can see that as a helper. Correct?
Well, so I'm saying all three things. What I'm saying is what you're going to do is see in engineering is more and more AI tools automating a lot of the, for example, I mean, there are AI tools here today. If you have a new product idea, let's say you want to create a drone, there are AI tools which will tell you what are all the things needed to really, launch a successful drone company, as an example. So it's associative and, and it'll be, in the photography and all of that field, the AI is, doing a lot of generatives in the CAD and design, like, hey, I have this table, or I create me the latest new, some creative design around a dining table. Probably it can come up with it, but then there's a lot of work we are doing around creating a table which is practical and producible. So you'll see a lot of those kinds of things happening in AI. But so AI, to tell you frankly, it's such an exciting future. We are on the hype curve, which means you will see maybe a year from now we'll be talking about more practical applications of AI and so on. We, as Dassault Systems and SolidWorks, are working on a lot of them as well.
Thank you, Suchit. So first part of our webinar is about to end. As I mentioned 10 minutes ago, if you would like to continue, please continue with us because we will talk about more about how you can be more successful in the future. Or if you are already here, you can please feel free opt out, then we can continue with the new attendees. This webinar will continue another 30 minutes. And I also see your questions here. Please continue to have it. And I would like to also repeat my note about certifications. You will have your email for certification next week. I will personally be sending those emails to you. So please keep your email box to have it. And then you will have a chance to receive, to pass the exams until end of this year. Thank you for your time. Thank you for attendance. So we are starting again in 2 minutes to our conversation with Suchit Jain. So let's give a break for 1 minute.
Yeah. So I just want to repeat, I know you have already said Simge, but we had a little bit of a confusion. As I understand, there was 1 hour. Some people started early. 1 hour ago, we started early. And then some people got
Maybe
email.
It's meant to be. Suchit.
Yeah. So some people got an email about starting at 11 Eastern time. And we had said starting at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So we've got some people which we already did, and Manish was here. And now we're going to start again and repeat some of those things for the 11 o'clock newcomers.
Which is 1 minute later, which is good. But it's maybe, it happens for a reason. Maybe you guys have more questions than we are here to reply for you.
But do we have people for the 11 o'clock? Are they joining?
Oh, yeah. It's increasing. The participant numbers are it was like this and it's getting higher and higher.
Awesome. So maybe we'll get a lot more students. And, at the end of the day, by the way, this is more for people who are watching, you're seeing this is a sort of an unplugged session, as we call it, right? Unplugged as in it's not prepared. We are a little messy here, so you probably you're seeing it over your cameras, but that's what we wanted to do because, we want to have sort of a very free conversation with the students, because I think that's the way to go.
Yes, actually, I started to have very nice questions, which I like it. It's also about manufacturing. What is your strategy for manufacturing? We have great news for you, so I'll ask Suchit these questions. But let's start with my questions again.
So is there, you want to wait for a minute? What is the time right
now?
It's
11.
Oh,
it's 11. Yeah, it's my kids.
The Simge's kids up there.
Yes.
She has two, Tom Jr.
And Rose, Tom Jr. and Rose.
How old is Tom Jr.?
5 months old.
5 months old, Tom Jr. And Rose, she is amazing.
Yes.
2.5?
No, 2. Not 2 even, 21.
Not 2 yet.
No, not yet. But she's acting like she is 2. So I assume she will like SolidWorks as well as Suchit's kids. I was telling beginning of the webinar, 2 now they are actually 21 years old. How old
Well,
they
my
are?
daughter is 23 and yeah, my sons are 21, twin
Yes.
boys. But yeah, we started, I mean, well, look, my career goes all the way back with SolidWorks. So yeah.
So we are actually, the participant numbers is getting very high. I'll wait for a couple of minutes and I will introduce again myself and Suchit for the ones who joined, who's joining. Actually, it's already 1 minute left. So, welcome everyone. We had a little bit confusion with the timing, so we started 1 hour earlier with SolidWorks CEO Manish Kumar and SolidWorks Business and Strategy Vice President Suchit Jain. Manish needed to leave, but we recorded the session, so I asked my questions to him. You will receive this recorded session by Monday. But now, since we have time, Suchit and I will stay here for you, and I'll ask some questions which I know you worried about for your future, and we are here to help you. And I'm also receiving many questions from you guys, from the participants. So please don't hesitate to write your questions here. I'm not sure if we can answer all of them, but I will try to do my best to ask them, Suchit. And I would like to start right now if you guys are ready. So Suchit, thank you again, staying here for
Yeah, no
another half an hour. Okay, so let's start with I think one of the top questions. What skills do students need to have to succeed, to be successful in the future? So what's your suggestion?
Yeah, I think we have already discussed the question really is, students today, what skills do they need to succeed? And I think bottom line is, I mean, today we are living in an age where I call it exponential technologies, where technologies are moving so fast, right? AI, robotics, all of these things move so fast. And people sometimes are left behind. And as students, I can guarantee you that whatever you learn today, if you're very specialized, 10 years from now, maybe you'll need something else. SolidWorks will still be there, but you'll need something else. The point being that one of the important part as a student you need to learn is not just the application of the software, but also learn about how actually to make things happen and what's happening, how to make things happen in future as well. Actually, I was looking at my phone and Manish was pinging me and saying actually he can join.
Oh, wonderful! It would be great to have him.
So his dentist stuff. So why don't we? I think Sally, if you're listening, can you grab Manish and bring him back? So then you guys will get Manish as well. My phone kept on ringing, so.
Okay.
In fact, let me just say, come over.
Okay, beautiful. And Manish is our CEO. As you see, it's great to work for SolidWorks because everyone is like friends. There is, of course, we respect each other, but this feeling is great. As Suchit was telling in our previous webinar, we are very relaxed. As you see here,
We're messy.
We are messy.
Well, Simge in general is more messy than.
Yeah, my husband said the same.
But anyways, Manish will be here, so
Okay.
we can continue with the questions. But yes, as I was saying, that the skills needed, you need to be, you need to have the design skills and everything, but just keep in mind an open mind about, what's happening in future and how you can apply those. And therefore, it's not just about learning CAD, but the idea that how a company works. For example, as we talked about, either you're gonna create your own company, you're gonna go work for somebody, or do freelancing work, whatever you're gonna do, at the end of the day, you need to understand how those things work. So going beyond just the design part of it, you of course need to know SolidWorks and that, but also knowing the aspect of collaboration. Why collaboration is important? Collaboration is, as we discussed earlier, is not just about sending files or Google Drive collaboration or putting a comment on Facebook, Instagram. Those are all relevant and important. Collaboration in a company environment means security, IP security. Why is that relevant? Why is that important? Why we use this word called sentence called one version of truth? Why one version of truth in your design process is there, because, people are working from different parts of the world together,
Of course.
and they need to all work towards one thing. So if somebody is creating a design and another person is creating the same design, then you're duplicating effort. By the way, I work with a lot of the first robotic teams, and I see that happening.
Mhm.
Your kids are doing the same thing. So, even in a design process. So
Mhm.
knowing those, so be diverse, learn beyond just the design part of it, understand what is needed for companies to be successful, and
And
course,
then don't
we
be
are-
afraid to talk. I think this is also important, as a skill. You need to be talkative. You don't afraid to ask questions to people. Then of course you will learn from
well,
others.
but just a little. You don't have to be talkative. Talkative. What I think
But it's
Simge,
good for networking
yeah,
too.
yeah.
This
But
is
but
good
what
for
Simge
creating
is
tech.
implying is express yourself. It doesn't have to be verbally per se, but you have a lot of means in typing and talking. From that perspective, that's what you mean. That go ahead and participate
Yeah,
in
100%.
activities.
Actually, I have one question here. I don't want to ask questions yet, but this is very important to answer for now, because maybe you guys also wondering, what is the best way to learn SolidWorks?
Best way to learn SolidWorks, I think the best way to learn SolidWorks is to first get SolidWorks.
Yes,
Right.
great point.
So Simke, you are, I know you've been in the education, you've been with SolidWorks for a long time, but especially with education, you've been,
Mhm.
what, 6-7 months now?
Yeah, it is the beginning
Or
of the year. Yeah,
Beginning
it's
of the
11
year,
months
so
now.
close to 11 months. And I know one of the tasks you have is to make SolidWorks accessibility easy to everyone. So you can access SolidWorks in a lot of different ways through school competitions. You can, I know a lot of times people talk about free and this and that, but we have made SolidWorks available through our online stores for less than the close to price of few pizzas, if you will.
Yes.
And so we have made the accessibility easy. So get SolidWorks. That's the first thing. Then we have a lot of ways to learn SolidWorks. Once you get that SolidWorks and you open the box, or click on the things, you learn through it. But there's a lot of YouTube tutorials, etc., to learn SolidWorks. I don't think learning SolidWorks is that.
Yeah, we have a
that
website
hard.
which is mysolidworks.com. You can also visit and find too many
Yeah.
videos about it.
However, certification, maybe if you want to do a little bit structured learning, one best way is to maybe learn how to get your CSWA, which has a whole bunch of tutorials and everything. That might be an easy way also, or a structured way, and in the end you get CSWA.
So by the way, Manish will join us 20 minutes later. So keep your questions for him. So let me ask my questions to Suchit, and 20 minutes later we'll have him again. So Suchit, I want to ask you, because I know you visited too many countries, you met many students, and I wonder, can you share any story with us? Those students, after their graduation, they have their companies or they start to work for the good companies. So can you give some examples to inspire our attendees today?
Well, I think all our students know quite a bit there. As I travel across the world, of course, I don't want to overload this session with my India trip last week. So I was in India, and a lot of my trip was focused around visiting startups, and also I attended a design competitions run by our Dassault India team called Akruti, which had over 9,000 over a period of 6 months participating. But in terms of inspiration of students, first of all, to tell you frankly, I was inspired. I'm always inspired. Every trip I make, the conversations I have with students is amazing, and these are very mature conversations. So I think a lot of our students are way ahead already. They are very, very well aware of what's going on. There's a lot of focus around the startup ecosystem. Of course, when I was in India, in US, enormous. If you go in the likes of Sweden, I was in Lithuania earlier this year, amazing stuff happening there.
So what students are doing after their graduation? I'm sure you met many students and then they become business people. Can you give some examples, some company names to us then,
Well,
students.
company names, I'm not, okay, I'll try to remember because sometimes it's, of course, there are so many engineering companies. I was giving example of my own son that then he learned SolidWorks. He's at Virginia Tech, is going to graduate in May. But I think because of his extreme knowledge of SolidWorks that he got a job with Boeing as an example.
This is amazing. In our time, years ago, it wasn't possible to have this opportunity. So now it's perfect. We have examples. So you guys, if you learn SolidWorks, more doors will open for you.
Yeah, in fact, if you have campus interviews, if you're an engineering student in a college, university, and you have campus interviews, you will see that having SolidWorks in these engineering companies gives you an advantage. My son has a CSWA and a CSWP in SolidWorks, which are two different associate and professional level. And having that, I think it gives you because he told me that there were hundreds of students lined up for interview. And I'm sure a lot of them had SolidWorks, or maybe a lot of them don't. I don't know what, but he definitely got an edge because of that. So I think learning SolidWorks will give you an edge if you do want to go work for a company, but also it gives you an edge if you want to start your company. It makes you more confident. I tell you that you will, after using SolidWorks on whatever idea you had, you will be much more strong-headed in going and implementing. An example I mentioned earlier was this person I met who has his own startup, Pratik, on creating humanoid robot. And being ability to actually visualize in virtual and in designing in CAD and maybe doing some 3D printing of the parts. The guy feels very confident about what, so that's the level of confidence you're gonna get, because then it's not just a thought. You actually can see your thought on the computer. I'm talking about startups and if you have ideas on it. And not just for students, I mean, for anybody, for me, for my wife, if they can visualize their ideas and see it's possible. So it shows you what's possible.
It's a great point he just mentioned about the startups. So we also have a startup program, students. So after your graduation, if you have a dream, reach out to us from our startup website. I'm sure if you Google it, SolidWorks Startups support, you will find it. And then you can apply for your startup. Then SolidWorks can provide you a license to make your dreams true.
Yeah, so what we do, by the way, just a plug for startups, we have over 25,000 startups in the program. We provide commercial level SolidWorks 2 suite, the 3D Experience Works suite, CAD, collaboration, simulation, manufacturing software for your startup at no cost for first year. And then, we have a whole program around that as well. So if you are kind of on that cusp, reach out to us. You can Google SolidWorks for startups and we'll end up in that page.
Same as Makers, correct?
Same as Makers, because Makers...
Thank you, Valeria. She reminds me Makers.
Yeah, Makers is an interesting one because Makers is good, for learning, for learning and skills. By the way, Maker price is like $50 in US or something like that, $80, $90. I mean, it's pretty much nothing, as I say, per price of a pizza. And the reason why we put that price is because we don't believe in, per se, free. I mean, we can provide free, not an issue, but we need to provide value and we need to be held accountable for that value. And that's what we did. So we have really lowered the barrier on there. But Maker's version is focused on learning and skills, personal learning and commercial software. So, students can use that. Startups can use that, whatever, but at the end of the day, the Maker version is more, if you're not making money yet and you want to work on your personal and hobbies projects, then Maker license is a great way to start and learn SolidWorks.
So let's say, another question for him. Let's say you guys have a team in your college, in your school, and you want to collaborate with them. You want to work with them and for your designs. So my question is to you, Suchit, is SolidWorks collaborative? How students can work with SolidWorks to collaborate each other?
Yeah, so if you're talking about FIRST robotics teams or the solar or underwater vehicle or electric cars, SAE, because every university and every college has some sort of a design team. They're working on what I call as outside the classroom projects. Then, of course, SolidWorks works in the way you want to collaborate by sending files, etc. But what we have done recently is created 3D experience platform, which is connected with SolidWorks in a remarkable way, and where you can collaborate in terms of your designs, sending files around. You don't no longer have to do that. And then also there's the one version of truth. And the point is very important, which I want you as students to take with you. You can do the same thing by doing it on Google Drive. So you can be in a FIRST Robotics team, and you can be in an SAE team, and you can use SolidWorks and collaborate by sending files through Google Drive. However, that's not how companies work. So yes, you can do your car, and maybe you can be okay on your team, but part of the learning, that experience, is also what is going to differentiate yourselves in the future, is learning how actually the companies collaborate in real life. So why not do the both? Why not do both at the same time? Why go to Google Drive and learn how companies collaborate? Why not use 3D Experience platform to do that collaboration, where you can not only do your team collaboration, but also learn how companies collaborate, which is what 3D Experience platform is about. So it's as easy as a Google Drive, and yet it has the power of how actual companies collaborate, the security, the one version of the truth, the data management, no overriding of different students. Every student is aware, they're always working, and you can really manage it as a professional team. You know, if you follow, if any of you guys are interested in racing cars, right? So if you watch Grand Prix and you see how the seconds make a difference, because those teams are collaborating, and I mean, I'm going beyond just the design part of it, but they're collaborating in a very structured manner. And if they don't do that, those teams are not going to win. So those 1 second matters. And when you're in a real company environment, production time matters. So why not learn collaboration that way? And that's what they need to do.
It's great. So for the team collaboration, I understand. But let's say for their self, students, how they can improve their self after school to apply, the nice job and to meet new people, to talk with professionals. What do you suggest them to be ready for the real world?
Well, I mean, this is if you're talking about the networking aspect, we have always talked about, right, that you got to network. There are tools like LinkedIn and so on, where it allows you to network within SolidWorks, it's also, which are more focused around engineering. We have ways to network. We talked about the user group meetings. We talked about 3D Experience World there. By the way, I know it sounds repetitive to me because we just did it earlier, but in every city, in different parts of the world, we are having SolidWorks user group meetings. So please, as a student, reach out and seek out. By the way, if you Google SolidWorks user group meeting or SWUGN, SWUGN, you'll probably get all the list of the meetings happening in your local area. These are run by the users, and these are professional companies going there. So reach out, contribute within those things. So that's one way, of course, more physical way. LinkedIn, there are a lot of, we talked about design competitions, participate in those things, and you'll be made aware. I
think this is a great advice, because when I was a student, Manish was here and he will join again. He was keep saying that when we were, in the past, we didn't have an internet. So now you guys have everything, and you can reach, as just Suchit said, and many people, I wasn't even dream about it when I was a student. So they're everywhere, they're outside. As Suchit said, our user group leaders, they organize meetings. And as he mentioned, really, they are professionals working for the very good companies. So if you talk to them, if you reach out to them, if you be collaborative with them, if you ask questions to them, you start to have a conversation, and then it will help you for your future. It's a great point. Thank you, Suchit. So other question I want to ask you. Yes, students are doing too many things in the school, but how they can get this stuff to the outside of the school? Let's say if they design a car and they had a great, competitions, they had a great team, but now they are graduated, and how they can show what you have done in the school to the world, what they should do.
Well, I mean, I thought we already talked about it, right?
Yes, but it was first part of the webinar. Now we have new people and I want them to hear.
No, I know, and I'm thinking even now, what we have talked about is there's a lot of ways in which you can showcase, you can build your profiles, etc. I think Manish talked about that even within the SolidWorks community, we have this 3D swim, which is see what you mean, or the also SolidWorks forums. So you can build your profiles along those directions. You can build profiles on LinkedIn to showcase what you're doing. Of course, there are a lot of these design competitions. Maybe you have a point on a particular thing you wanted to talk about, but I think those are the things which the students need to,
No, it's great. I mean, what I'm reading from the questions from you guys, you are saying, for example, I'm a student college, the webinar is very interesting and insightful. Greeting from Indonesia and greetings from us. It's a worldwide webinar. And I know, Suchit, you are a very inspirational person. And I want to tell students how they can be different from others to be one step ahead when they graduated. So,
again, to be one step ahead, I think, as we just talked about, it's like this, whatever you put in, you get out. So whatever you put in, you might get 2x out of it and so on. But if you don't put anything, you don't get anything, right? So I think what we have been talking about is, of course, any of these learning happening, the webinars, etc., you got to attend, start contributing in some way in your local community. So some avenues for you to contribute locally, because if you do that, then your projects will start becoming visible and you're going to learn, not just because, and what I would say is I'm always firm believer in, and I know it's a hard thing to say, that don't focus on the fruit, but focus on the tree, because if you focus on the tree, you will nurture many more fruits. But if you focus on the fruit, the tree may die. So
Suchit told me this 2 years ago, so it really helped me. Yeah.
So it is an important part. Now, what I'm saying is, it's about having a result in mind, but not focusing too much on the result goal.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is, one easy way to really do is start thinking about in which ways you can help your local community, your local fellow students, your local engineering community. If you start thinking about that, some of the ways I've seen, and the person who's talking about Indonesia or who's from Indonesia, maybe there is a fab lab in your area or a maker space, which is trying to do something good for the society. See what project you can do to help there. We talked about sustainability a lot. There's a lot of focus on sustainability. Try to do that. There's a user group meeting probably going on in some area. Go try to attend there. Maybe your school is organizing some design competition. Maybe there is a design competition within your government, which is organizing. Keep an eye on the SolidWorks news, because we are also trying to do this ourselves and be a catalyst for this in various parts of the world. We are doing these design competitions. We just did one during what we call as SlugMe, the SolidWorks largest meeting.
Yeah.
I don't know if some of you participated in there, but we had a focus around making. And we brought in some maker. We did a design competition and awarded some stuff to the maker. So these are all various ways in which you can participate and contribute back. Basically, doing the right thing will end up being the right thing for you as well.
So thank you, Suchit. At the beginning of the webinar, Suchit was saying, SolidWorks is everywhere. If you want to learn SolidWorks, one of the things he suggests you to, if you are living in Dallas, because this year we are organizing 3D Experience World 2024 in Dallas, Texas on February. It won't be a virtual because, after COVID, we decided to have a virtual component of the event. But this year we decided to have all in person. Of course, sessions will be recorded, and I'm sure you will able to find them after the event in 3D Experience platform. But if you are around Dallas, please join the event. It's free for students, and normally it's more than $1,500. So it's a big chance. If you are in Dallas area, please welcome to come to 3D Experience World event. And okay, so other question from me to you, Suchit. I wonder if you are talking about all the advices for their future, but I asked in our previous webinar, what would you suggest to your own kids to be successful?
Well, I mean, so by the way, as I mentioned previously, we are saying kids, but kids is, kids are
Yeah,
adults,
sorry,
right?
yeah, I
So-
apologize.
No, you don't need to apologize. I mean, for me, my kids are still kids,
Yeah.
right? And they are, what, 23, 21, so they are adults. But for let's say, budding engineers and you guys, students and people who are maybe already pretty much out there, I think we discussed some of the points, and maybe I'll try to recollect some of them. One is that you have to, we just talked about this idea of doing the right thing. So of course, try to do the right thing, but also, try to understand things beyond just CAD or design. Don't become a specialist, but try to understand how things work in real world and learn, right? And there are a lot of learning tools. So now I'm not saying you have to go get a degree in each one of those things, but there are ways to be aware of what makes it right. Like when we talk about, collaboration, what does a collaboration mean for a company? Understand that, learn it, implement it, because it's going to give you an edge. This is what I tell my kids, that if you want to start your own company, or even when you're working for somebody and you want to move higher up within the company, you need to go beyond your shell of what you are very good at, right? So maybe one advice for everybody is don't become comfortable ever. If you're comfortable in something, by the way, I have too many of these little, tidbits saying, but one of the things I used to tell always for somebody in our finance guy was, don't excel in Excel, otherwise you'll just excel in Excel. And you'll be stuck in Excel, doing Excel, right? So the point is not being very good in Excel, but the point is, why are you using that Excel? Why are you building those business models and understanding that core aspect of it? So don't get too much focus on the tool. Don't excel. Maybe this is the only time I'm going to say, don't just focus on excelling in SolidWorks, but also understand how you can use SolidWorks to really solve that company's problem, your own idea, own whatever.
So when I'm reading the questions here, students, I see many notes from Ukraine, from Turkey, from Egypt, from France. Then I see that SolidWorks is everywhere, and I know. And I want to ask question about some numbers to Suchit. Like how many companies use SolidWorks? Because I think this information important for you when you graduated. If you know SolidWorks, you will find companies because they will want you. They are looking for people who know SolidWorks. So Suchit, can you talk about the numbers for us, then tell students why it's important to learn SolidWorks?
Well, I mean, SolidWorks, so, last week I was in India, I was saying we had a user group meeting and I was giving a sense of the numbers, some physicality. So I'll repeat that. So we have around 7 million users of SolidWorks, and SolidWorks, sort of ecosystem of 3D Experience Works as well. Out of which I'd say around 5 million plus are in education. That is the students, and then around 1.5 to 2 million, including draft side in commercial areas, which are using. So we have over 300,000 companies, close to 400,000 companies commercially, around 30,000 institute all across the world where SolidWorks is present. But if you take the size and you try to turn, it's like how many people are using SolidWorks and around. And I'm not even talking about the ecosystem, because the ecosystem starts to become bigger with the suppliers and all of that. But if you just limit it to the number of people who are hands-on using SolidWorks, if you're in US, take a football stadium, the largest football stadium, American football, would be what? Maybe around 130,000 or something like that. 100,000, let's say, closer to 100,000 people. If you're into soccer, maybe the Spanish Nuba Stadium in Barcelona, maybe around 110,000. If you're playing cricket in India, they have a huge stadium now, the Narendra Modi Stadium. By the way, World Cup is going on in cricket. 130,000 people. So if you take those people, no matter which game you play, you go into that stadium, you see this 130,000 people cheering for one team. Imagine everybody wearing the same shirt, which is this SolidWorks shirt. So that's just 130,000, right? Now, if you add another zero to it, which means now you have 10 of those stadiums. Now you got 1.3 million, right? Is that correct? Am I 130,000, you add another zero, you have 1.3 million.
I told you I'm not engineer. I
Yeah.
don't know why you asked this question.
So-
I'm joking.
So let's say 10 of those stadiums.
Yeah.
And then you get to 7 million, so you got 70 of those stadiums.
Mhm.
So some of the world's largest stadiums, 70 of them, let's say in 70 countries, in Ukraine, in
Suchit,
India.
give me number.
So just imagine everybody wearing
7
red shirt.
million.
7 million users, right?
You're here, guys. So worldwide,
But I
7
just
million
want, I don't
users.
want to, well, look,
But it's a great
but-
number.
but it's not just about numbers. What I'm saying is just imagine the red shirts wearing, and because it's about team and collaboration and
Very
all of
true.
that. We all root for
Be
a team,
part of the team.
but everybody wants to be a part of the team.
Yes.
And what I'm telling these guys is you're a part of the largest team in the world and all together. And we feel like that. And I want you guys to have that feeling that you're not alone, you're part of this big team. And if everybody is rooting for you, the 7 million people wearing the red shirts in 70 different stadiums across the world, getting a job or starting a company becomes that much easier.
It's very important. And another thing I want to add, students, why you need to learn SolidWorks. Clear answer. Go to LinkedIn, go to Glassdoor, some websites who people are looking for jobs. So write SolidWorks there. You will find more than thousands of people, companies looking for SolidWorks users. You can write our competitors' names as well. And then you will see the numbers. I won't give you all the numbers, but do your search, do your research, and then you will see why you need to learn.
I think these
SolidWorks.
guys are already convinced. That's why
I'm
they're
not
here.
trying to convince, I'm just
Yeah.
telling them the
Well,
truth.
but what it is they can find more jobs. In fact, if you're going on career.com and put for SolidWorks, you'll see how many people are looking for those kinds of jobs, for sure.
Very true, very true. And of course, certification is one of the important part of this. It is very important to show how do you know SolidWorks. So it has its own levels on the certifications. Then when you have your certificate, then you can say, yes, I know SolidWorks. And I also see a question about I just graduated from electrical engineer and with SolidWorks electrical. And how can I get certified? Do we have, any suggestion for this electrical?
You know what, I
engineering
don't know.
students?
It's a very good question. I do believe we have a certification around electrical,
yes,
but
we
I'm
do.
not 100% sure. But maybe someday we can, either this person can send the email, we can send all the details on how to get certified related to electrical and so on. But I believe we have 70 different certificates for different products,
Yes,
different
we
types
do
of
have.
things. So-
We do have. So guys, I don't know if you have other questions. There are too many questions. Actually, I really try to find. I see one question. What is the difference between SolidWorks and 3D Experience Platform?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think there's a little bit of a confusion in the minds of the people. I mean, SolidWorks is SolidWorks. 3D Experience Platform is essentially a platform, a cloud platform, which we have created, which allows to manage people's data, their applications, and their interactions, right? And so it doesn't take, so think about, an app on your iPhone. If SolidWorks is the app on the iPhone, then the whole iPhone experience would be the 3D Experience Platform. And that's what we have done because we talked about collaboration, why that is important, version of truth, why that is important, how a company runs, why that is important. And 3D Experience Platform has been that glue and all of that. So now that's more at the high level, going into the nitty-gritty. If you're doing your CAD designs in SolidWorks, you have parts and you have assemblies, and you need to sometimes share and mark up those parts and assemblies. Sometimes you need to make sure that other people are coming and not not overriding those parts and assemblies. So 3D Experience Platform allows you to manage those files and documents in a very clear way, in a very transparent way. It allows you to do share and markup of your data and designs in a beautiful way. Things like what I call as e-drawings on steroids, because everything is on the cloud. There's no install. So once you connect your SolidWorks to 3D Experience Platform, then all of these things which I'm talking about automatically very easily happens. It also allows you to then do various things because once the data is on the cloud, you can do so many more things downstream. For example, rendering of that data in a fast way. All our simulation products are tied up with there. So really that provides that glue. The 3D Experience provides that glue to be able to work together collaboratively in a way which will not let you override in both an unstructured way, structured way, all of those kinds of things. That's kind of where what really is. So it's not replacing. Actually, it's not replaces or anything about SolidWorks. It actually extends it to be able to do all of these.
To
more
give
things.
more, yeah. As Bernard says, we had a house. Now we just extend our house. We have a bigger house now.
Yeah.
So we are actually we are coming to the end of the webinar. I heard that. I also want to say something from the questions and answer parts. I really found it inspirational. It's from one of students. He says, "I can say SolidWorks changed my life totally, from graduate students to engineer. Congratulations, the SolidWorks team looks forward to installing SolidWorks in our CAD room server." So this is very beautiful because this is what we are trying to do. We want to inspire you. We want you to find a job after your graduation. We want to be you guys happy. So that's why we organize this webinar and we are asking questions. So please answer that. And Suchit, thank you very much for your time. You spent 1.5 hours with me.
Well, I'm glad,
Thank you.
again. Thank you for the enthusiasm you have. And of course, I love talking to the students and I wish you guys all the best, whether you are in school, middle school guys going to high school, applying for colleges or colleges guys, or whether you're in a community college or college going to startup, or if you're already in a startup or whatever. All the best. Keep on learning. Keep on doing SolidWorks. Keep on wearing red, and just you're not alone. We are there with every one of you, and reach out if you need any help.
Exactly. So, and please continue to follow us our Instagram page and LinkedIn EDU page, because we will have some surprises for you until end of the year, and of course next year too. And then we will have other webinars. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. So we are always here for you. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for attending this. And I hope I see you again, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Suchit. Thank you, Manish.
Bye.